What's going on, Dayton Masters Association? My name is Justin. I want to talk to you guys about my Jolteon Pidgeot deck that I did very well with last week. I went 3 wins, 0 losses, 1 tie. So let's go ahead and get right into it. How was that? It runs 4 Pidgeot EXs. And Pidgeot EX is colorless. He has 2 moves. His first move is called Mirror Move, and for 1 colorless energy, if this Pokemon was damaged by an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does the same amount of damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So that's pretty much the main attack I use here in this deck. His second move is called Feather Lance. For 3 colorless energy, he does 80 damage, and he does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's pretty good late game. Let's slide these over. What?
No one's watching.
No one's watching? Alright, cool. What's up, everybody? He plays 2 Jolteon EXs, and he has 2 moves. His first move is called Swift, and for 1 lightning energy, he does 30 damage, and the attack's damage isn't affected by weakness, resistance, or any other effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, which is pretty nice. It can get through some stuff that locks you out of doing damage. His second move, for 1 lightning and 2 colorless, does 70 damage. It's called Flash Ray, and during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. So that's like a pretty nice stall card, doing 70 damage, 80 with a Fighting Fury belt, and he can't be attacked by basic Pokemon. So that's definitely the secondary attacker. Very, very good card though. Third card I use is Shaymin EX. I use 2 of them. Mainly you just use the ability called Setup, which lets you, if you play it from your hand to your bench, you can draw until you have 6 cards. His second move is called Sky Return. His only move is called Sky Return. It does 30 damage, and you basically attack with it and then bring it to your hand and all cards attached to it. And that takes 2 colorless energy. My next Pokemon is the 2-2 Trubbish Garbodor line. Basically, you never use this to attack. You never use this to attack. You use his ability called Garbotoxin. Basically says that if this Pokemon has a tool attached to it, there are no abilities, not on the field, not in the discard, and not in your player's hand. So this is really, really good at shutting down abilities. A lot of people play it. Next, we'll move on to energy. Pretty standard. 4 lightning and 4 double colorless. Obviously, you know, just for the Mirror Move and the Feather Lance and the Jolteon's move. The Flash Ray. I play 4 tools in this deck. 2 Floatstone, 2 Fighting Fury belts. Floatstones are pretty standard with Garbodor. It just says that the Pokemon the card is attached to has no retreat cost, and so that activates the Garbotoxin. And then you use the Fighting Fury belts on Jolteon or Pidgeot. It just says that if this is a basic Pokemon, his HP is increased by 40 and his attacks do 10 more damage. So that's pretty good as well. This deck plays 1 Stadium, Parallel City, Parallel City has two different options here. Try to get it real close so you can see it. Basically, if it's facing this way, this player's moves are reduced by 20 for grass, fire, and water. And if it's facing this way, with the blue side facing you, you are reduced to 3 Pokemon on your bench. So it's really good against like Mega Rayquaza, Mega Gardevoir, stuff that uses a lot of Pokemon, like with Skyfield. It's very nice to get them from 8 Pokemon down to 3 Pokemon. You don't have to go, but quit talking. Next, I'll move on to supporters. Plays 1 Delinquent. It just says that you discard a stadium, and if you do, your opponent discards 3 cards from their hand. They get to choose. 1 Giovanni Scheme. This is pretty nice. You get to choose between 2 options. Draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand, or during this turn your Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's, during this turn your Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, which is really nice if you get the mirror move and you just need a little bit more damage. It definitely helps get the knockout. Plays 1 Lysandre. Pretty much everybody knows what Lysandre does. You basically choose one of their bench Pokemon to become the active. A lot of people use this to target the Shaymin and get easy 2 prizes. 1 Misty's Determination. This card's pretty awesome. I actually sub out 1 Professor Sycamore for this card. You discard 1 card from your hand, and if you do that, you look at the top 8 cards of your deck and put 1 of them into your hand, which is really nice because you don't have to reveal it. You then shuffle your deck. I really like this card as a 1 of in any deck. Play 2 Ends. Pretty much everybody knows what End does too. Each player shuffles his or her hand into their deck, and then each player draws the number of cards they have as prize cards. So it's really nice late game if you're really down. 1 Ninja Boy. This card is extremely confusing, so I'm going to look at it while I read it to you. Choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon and switch it with that Pokemon. Any attached cards, damage counters, special conditions, turns in play, and any other effects remain on the new Pokemon. Shuffle the first Pokemon into your deck. So I really like this late game if I'm like seeing something like that's a full deck of like basics, and I want to get Pidgeot out and get Jolteon active. I already have an energy on it, then I can just drop a DCE on it and start using Flash Ray and just making sure I'm not getting, you know, killed by something. I really like that card in this deck. Plays 1 Ranger. Oh, sorry. A lot of people know what Pokemon Ranger does too. It just removes all the effects of attacks on each player and his or her Pokemon. It's really nice to stop the Flash Ray if somebody's doing Flash Ray to you. It plays 3 Professor Sycamore. Pretty much everybody knows what Sycamore does as well. You discard your entire hand and you draw 7 cards. This is the card I was saying that normally you play 4 of. I like to take 1 out of Sycamore and add 1 Misty's in, just because I don't want to discard a bunch of you know, DCEs in the beginning of the game. And the last supporter I play is Team Flare Grunt. You just get to discard 1 energy attached to the opponent's active Pokemon. I really like to pair this with like Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer to try to take all the energy off the Pokemon and basically just stall as much as I can. And that's all the supporters on this deck. Next we'll go into items. Play 2 Crushing Hammer. You flip a coin. If heads, you discard an energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is really nice for basic energy or special energy. I really like this card a lot in this deck. 2 enhanced hammers. You get to discard a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is nice because if the deck plays special energy, you don't even have to flip the coin. So this is a fun card to use. Plays 4 Max Potion, which is really good with Pidgeot and a few other decks. But basically you discard all the energy attached to your Pokemon that you're using Max Potion on, and you heal all the damage from it. So with Pidgeot only taking 1 colorless energy to do his mirror move, every turn you can Max Potion and then mirror move that amount of damage onto them. It's pretty nice. 1 red card. I like to pair this with Delinquent. This basically says your opponent shuffles his or her hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. If you use this right and you play a stadium and then you do this card and then you Delinquent, you leave them with 1 card left in their hand. Very good stall card. 1 special charge in case somebody is discarding my special energy. This card says that I shuffle 2 special energy cards from my discard into my deck. 1 Super Rod. This is a good late game card as well. I can shuffle 3 of any combination of Pokemon or basic energy from my discard into my deck. For Trainer's Mails. Trainer Mail says that I look at the top 4 cards of my deck and I reveal a trainer card that I find there except for Trainer's Mail and put it into my hand. Very good for finding whatever you need at the time, an Ultra Ball or a Verseeker, Max Potion, all kinds of good stuff you can find with Trainer's Mail. For Ultra Balls in this deck, discard 2 cards from your hand. If you can't discard 2 cards, you can't play this card. And then you search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. This is great for finding your Shaymin to get your cards early. And all kinds of stuff you can use Ultra Ball for. The last card in this deck is the Verseeker. Pretty much standard in every deck is a Verseeker. You put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. So you use this mid to late game to find anything you need. Lysandre, Sycamore, Misty, Team Flare Grunt if you want to discard their energy. All kinds of stuff that Verseeker is useful for. Almost every deck I've ever played plays 4 of these. So that's it for the Jolteon EX Pidgeot EX deck. And thanks for checking it out, and thanks for sticking around for me. See you guys.